The point of view in a story helps us access the information within the story. So, what I mean by that is depending on the point of view, we as a reader become privy to certain information or we don't know certain information. So, I'm going to quickly review the major types of point of view that we tend to see. First person point of view means that our narrator is a character inside of the story. So the narrator not only is telling the story, but the narrator partakes in the story. We know this because he or she is going to use first person pronouns, I, me, my, our, and we know that narrator's thoughts and that narrator's words. Now we only know other characters' words because we don't know what other characters are thinking. We're getting it all through first person. Same thing in first person shooter games. It looks like you are the person in the game. That is first person. The character telling the story is in the story. Now, this chart in your notes does not include second person. Second person point of view is when we use the word you and it tells you what to do. These are self-help books. These are directions where the text is talking directly to you as a reader, which leads us then to third person. We have three major types of third person. In third person point of view, the narrator is always outside the story. Here we have an outside fly on the wall. We have another fly on the wall outside the story here. And we have a character like God or like Santa, someone who knows everything. But the narrator is always outside. So when talking to about characters, we will say he said or she said this or he did this. We're not going to say I did anything. The only time we're going to see I in third person is when they're surrounded by quotation marks because a character is speaking them out loud. So the difference between these three then is in third person objective point of view. We get no opinions. Think of that O in objective, no opinions. The narrator is like a fly on the wall. They only can see what is happening and they can hear because it's a magical fly. So we only get what characters say and what characters do. We have no judgment calls here. We do not see a lot of stories written objectively. Film scripts are written objectively because we only know what characters say and what characters do. We don't often get in their heads unless they speak it out loud. Third person limited means we are limited to one character's thoughts. This is the same as first person. But instead of I said this or I feel sad, it'll say he said this or he feels sad. Here we have like maybe a magic mind reading fly. Fly on the wall can still only see and hear, but they can also get into the head of one character. This is third person limited. Think of the lowercase l as a number one, limited to one thoughts. And then finally, we have omniscient, an all-knowing character. Omni means all, shunt refers to knowing. So like God or like Santa, this narrator knows everything. It doesn't mean the narrator tells us everything, but the narrator could get into the heads of any character at any time to tell us what those characters are thinking or feeling or giving us extra background information that the characters themselves may not know just from their day-to-day life in the story. So when we're looking at point of view, we should be labeling first person, second person, third limited, third objective, third omniscient, and talking about the pronouns used, and then what do we know, right? Whose emotions do we know? Whose motivations do we know? And what happens because we don't know everybody's thoughts? So when analyzing point of view, we want to name the point of view and tell us the effect, tell us what we know, what we don't know, based on whose head we can get in.